You're a professional, a business owner, an investor, and you've got an allocation of capital on the sidelines and you've been looking at crypto to deploy, but you don't want to make a catastrophic mistake. Or maybe you've already invested and you have made a mistake, or you just don't have the confidence to go all the way in. You're not sure of the timing, where to store, what to buy. There's so much different information out there and you're just so time poor. It is very difficult to actually have a proper strategy. I'm going to talk about in this video how I would personally allocate $50,000 into the market if I was starting from scratch today in crypto. And I'm going to talk about an actual framework and a game plan that you can utilize versus the speculation and gambling pretty much that goes on crypto YouTube. And I'm going to really give you a playbook to go through the cycles, how they work, how a strategy actually optimizes, how a portfolio looks to optimize your upside while managing the downside, and as well as have a look at some of the coins, platforms that you can actually utilize today. So I want to get into it. The first thing that so many people skip when they're getting into crypto is not actually understanding the cycles. Bitcoin and crypto have cycles, and just like any other market, they happen regularly. In crypto, in fact, it happens a little bit faster than other cycles, other markets. And right now we're in this, this rainbow chart is a really good territory to kind of look at the different periods that we see Bitcoin in. All right. In the purple where we are now, this is essentially where the fear really comes in. As of today, like the fear and greed index is at 23. This has actually been at very, very low levels for the last few months because of the macro uncertainty that's going on amongst the world right now. But right now, when we head into these purple territories, this is pretty much where people decide that Bitcoin's dead and it's all over and it's going to zero. And that is the best time to buy, although it feels obviously the worst time to get in. In terms of where we are right now, Bitcoin being down about 45%, it's actually very, very common for crypto to have market drawdowns. In fact, this is the smallest of the 4 other major drawdowns we've had in crypto going right back to 2012. I remember the first time when I bought Bitcoin, it was started 2018. I took out a loan from the bank. I do not recommend anyone to do that, but I was living at home at the time. I took out money and bought Bitcoin at around, I think it was around $4,000 or $5,000. And literally that next week, it dropped another 50%. It was down to $3,000 and I was scared shitless. It was the, that sinking feeling you have. I shouldn't have bought, should have waited, don't know what I'm doing. And then ultimately the human emotion inside of you, the psychology bit goes, I should go and sell. That is the worst thing you could be doing. Whenever you get into a market, I did a lump sum transaction. I was buying all at once and I put it straight in and it went down. It was a big learning lesson. And a lot of people go through that when they get into crypto, is that it's highly, highly volatile. We recommend a dollar cost averaging strategy now rather than a lump sum strategy, unless you really think that you can time the market correctly. These drawdowns are a perfect time to dollar cost average. And what this actually looks like from a dollar cost average perspective, this is the first time I've used this, by the way, folks, is when you get these market drawdowns. So let's say this is the Bitcoin chart and, the market's going up. We want to be able to take advantage of these drawdowns like this. All right. We want to enter here as the market's going down. What people try and do is time the market here, but what tends to happen is that they miss the bottom. They keep waiting and you're waiting for the best time. There is never a good time to enter in crypto. I always talk about, there's never a gentleman's entry in crypto because of the volatility, and you want to make sure that you are taking advantage of periods where we are in these drawdowns to accumulate. And the 200-week moving average is a good chart I like to look at from a Bitcoin perspective. On a technical analysis level, you can look at any online trading view account to look at that, but the 200-week moving average has been a really strong Bitcoin structural point that Bitcoin has only been below that for a few months over the last 10 years. And that range right now is around $58,000. So these drawdowns, yes, we could have a little bit more to go, but I would not overthink it. Where we are right now in terms of the halving, we've just hit 2 years into the 4-year Bitcoin cycle. So every 4 years, the amount of new Bitcoin that gets created halves, and we're about halfway. And you can see here, we have really underperformed this cycle in comparison to previous cycles, but it doesn't mean that Bitcoin's dead. It means that there is a lot of other things going on in the world right now that we need to be aware of that is the reason why Bitcoin is down, like all other markets. AI is here. We've got a conflict in the Middle East. That gives us opportunity to take advantage of these cycles. And that's the biggest part that I would really hone in on if I was starting out right now, really understanding the cycles and knowing that, yes, this period is a fearful period for crypto, but this is actually the time where you want to be accumulating. Now, when you go and select what exchange you want to use, it is really important that you have your security down pat. When you're building out your portfolio, security is the number one thing that you want to get right. We have a quick security center that really quick 6 rules. One, if you're going to store your crypto on a wallet like a Ledger or a Trezor, do not share your recovery phrase anywhere. Do not share your password with anyone. I've spoken to people before that have saved this on their Google Drive or their Dropbox, and someone hacked into their computer and was able to take it. Do not keep it online. If you're going to use a platform like Coinbase or Kraken or SwiftX or someone like that, that is fine to keep it on an exchange, but make sure you have 2-factor authentication. All right, download Google Authenticator or the Authy app and make sure you have your security absolutely watertight. Now, in terms of the opportunity or also long going in terms of the timeline, Bitcoin has outperformed every other asset class over the last 6 years. If we look here, this is in the orange Bitcoin. Bitcoin has done extremely well in terms of the performance against, gold, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, has just absolutely blown it out of the water because Bitcoin is a nuanced asset. It is a limited supply asset, and the more demand that comes in for Bitcoin, the more this asset will grow. And the reason why it's grown so quickly is because of the ETFs, the institutions. There is a massive amount of institutions that are coming into Bitcoin right now because of people understanding that there is a massive problem with inflation. There's a massive problem with the debasement of the dollar. The US government is in $38 trillion worth of debt. I'm here in the US at the moment, and it is very, very important that you understand that by holding assets in fiat currency, whether it be your properties, your cash, your bonds, whatever it may be, you are losing purchasing power. It is the silent thief, the melting ice cube. You don't realize that $100 that you had in your pocket in the year 2000 is now able to buy $47 worth of goods and services 26 years later. All right, you've lost more than half of your purchasing power, and that would only continue to increase rapidly with the amount of money printing going on. That is why over 100 public listed companies are accumulating Bitcoin on their balance sheet. All right, you've got things like the US government, for one. Not that they're a public listed company, they are holding 1% of the Bitcoin supply. You've got Strategy, MicroStrategy just continues to accumulate obscene amounts of Bitcoin. You've got the Block, you've got Trump Media, that's obviously big, Galaxy Digital, you've got so many, Coinbase, you've got so many different platforms, and now you've got BlackRock, Fidelity, Bank of America. All of these are coming into Bitcoin because they're moving their treasuries away from cash and into a finite asset like Bitcoin. Now, when it comes to portfolio allocation, how do we actually deploy this capital? So when it comes to my $50,000 plan, I split it up into really 4 different sections, okay? So you've got your foundation, which is predominantly Bitcoin and ETH. The reason why we want to have predominantly Bitcoin and ETH into our portfolio is because this is the core of our digital asset portfolio. Without Bitcoin, there are no altcoins. If Bitcoin goes down structurally, altcoins will heavily underperform Bitcoin, all right? Altcoins are these other alternative cryptocurrencies, as we call them, that are to the side of Bitcoin. And unless Bitcoin is in a upwards trajectory, then most altcoins will underperform. So what I like to have in here is I like to have about 50% of my portfolio at a minimum in Bitcoin. I currently have more than that, but at least having 50% of my portfolio in Bitcoin. Now, I do have a little bit of Ethereum as well. Ethereum is essentially the Web3 app store. It's trying to build a decentralized application layer that apps can build on top of. And if we look at the app store level, which is essentially layer 1, so these are layer 1 blockchains. Ethereum is by far the biggest platform on layer 1, into a layer 1 category, sorry. So you can see Ethereum here. A lot of people like Solana. I like Solana. There's Tron. There's a bunch of different layer 1 projects, but Ethereum by far has the biggest amount of total value locked. That is the metric that we like to look at. It's got $55 billion under TVL. Solana is a distant second at $5 billion. All right. So I always like to start with Ethereum as my secondary asset that I'm going to accumulate in my portfolio. All right. But again, sticking with Bitcoin to begin with. The next part is our growth area. Now, our growth projects, you're going to want to have anywhere between 20% and 30%, depending on who you are. One of the things we take with our clients is whenever we start understanding where and how much the percentages look, we've got to start with the goal. Like, why are you even in crypto? How much money do you have? What's your allocation in terms of your other assets? Are you in retirement? Are you early? And if you're younger and you're wanting to take more risk, you would increase your growth and asymmetric plays. But if you are in retirement, well, then you're probably going to look at having a less risky portfolio. So the one I'm playing out here is probably for like a medium risk. Now, what are our growth assets? Our growth assets are going to be any of the different cryptocurrencies that we like that are available in the right time. Now, the biggest misunderstood thing when buying altcoins, and there's so many different coins, thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands, is that 99% of them are absolutely worthless. 99% of our altcoins that are in this space are just honestly crap. And a lot of influencers will promote these projects because they get paid to promote them, and a lot of them have no value, really, at the end of the day. What generates the value is a couple of different things. One is speculation. A lot of these projects are driven by speculation, and when the market is down and there's not a lot of interest, like when we are right now in this cycle, then they're not going to have a lot of growth. In fact, they're going to bleed out. The other side is utility. Now, utility projects are really when you generate proper revenue. These projects are actually a business, a product, and one of the projects that we really like that we've done really well on is Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid is a derivatives exchange. It's actually an exchange where you can trade gold, silver, oil 24/7, and we bought this and shared with our members back. I think it was around $22 that we shared this, up at $44 now. It's up 100%. The reason why we liked this last year and we shared it is because one, it's got actually a really good product, so people are using this and they're trading oil right now, available to do that 24/7. You cannot do this in the stock market because assets and platforms shut outside of hours. But the other thing is that the project in itself is generating hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue with 11 employees. The reason why it's got 11 employees and why that's possible is because blockchain. You don't need a middle person. So these platforms that are built on blockchain are infinitely scalable, and it generates so much revenue back to the token. And a lot of the money that gets created from this project goes back to the token, and that is what drives the project higher. Now, you've got to understand that a lot of these projects that create revenue, some of them don't push them back to the token. So what we see is we may have a platform like XRP as an example and Ripple. They are two separate companies. Not all of the revenue goes from Ripple to XRP. It's not like buying a share. So you've got to understand that within crypto that not all of these assets are built the same. And even if they are generating revenue, the tokenomics is actually the most important part of understanding whether or not that revenue is going back to the token holders. And if it's not, well, then it's not going to perform well. So that's why Hyperliquid has done extremely well for us, even in a terrible downwards market at the moment. So that's going to be about 20%, all right? You've got things like layer ones, you've got things like DeFi, you've got things like AI. These are sort of our growth players here. Now, our asymmetric upside, this is where our big bets are. This is where our big bets of like, they could return us a lot, all right? But most likely they're going to go to zero. And for us here, this is primarily going to be about 5%, depending on your risk appetite. And the asymmetric bets, again, coming back to what categories these may be, for me, it's going to be something like early stage AI projects or an early stage DeFi project or like an autonomous agent or something that's like very, very early on in its lifespan. And we're going to have basically an investment into that project to see if we can return multiple returns. This asymmetric area, this one here, this is where we want to have, think of it like early stage investments in the traditional world, all right? Let's say we have 10 different investments that we're going to put in, all right, in our asymmetric. We might put in like 0.5% each. So in our asymmetric, we're going to have, let's say this is our 5% here. We're going to have like 5 to 10 different small investments here. Now, one of them, we hope to get 500+%. 5 of them will probably go and break even. They'll probably get a 0%. The other 4 probably going to go to zero, negative. And what we're trying to do is make sure that this top project here is going to return us all of that capital back. So really 500% plus is where, really to 10x is where we want to have those asymmetric plays. For me, where I made my asymmetric plays in the past was the metaverse. I did really well there, but I've actually personally struggled to really get these types of growth. And I don't tend to invest too heavily into the asymmetric side just because of how difficult it actually is to find really good projects at this level, all right? The most important thing when thinking about asymmetric side is that there is two sides of the equation when it comes to actually investing in cryptocurrencies. On the left-hand side here, you've got DeFi. This is when we're buying directly on the blockchain. This is when we're getting very early. We're buying on things like Uniswap. On here, you've got Coinbase. The best projects, all right, do not go straight to Coinbase. They get listed here early on. All right, this is when you've got the whales buying. This is where the VCs are buying. This is where I'm buying, because this is where you get the most growth. What people forget is that by the time that this project gets to about here on the chart, this is when it tends to get listed on Coinbase. Now, what happens at that level? The reason why it takes so long to get to Coinbase is because they have to verify the project, they have to get liquidity, they have to do all these things. Now it's get listed on Coinbase. Guess what happens? This is when the price goes down, because guess who's selling? The whales, the VCs, Ben's selling. And this is where you're buying. You are the exit liquidity unless you're getting in early, all right? So with these asymmetric bets, there is a very big strategy that has to come about to actually get in early enough to make the returns that we need on the asymmetric. Finally, the last part is the income. Now, this is where I've got a lot of my capital at the moment, income. This is where we are utilizing stable coins to generate a yield. And a lot of people don't realize this, but you can actually make a lot more money than the bank when you are putting your money into stable coins. So there's about $320 billion worth of stable coins right now in the market cap, which is huge. And essentially what we can do is we can earn a yield on our stable coins that's higher than the bank. Currently I use Syrup, and Syrup is a DeFi protocol where I'm earning close to 10% per year on my stable coins, and I have those ready to deploy in the market when I'm ready to buy. All right, that is a big use case for stable coins. The other thing is where you can get in and out of the market really quickly, and I can generate that income. There's also other things like yield. You can also stake your altcoins as well. So if you've got Ethereum and Cardano and things like that, you can also stake them and earn a percentage. It's like holding digital assets and renting them out, right? It's really important that you understand that, without doing that, you're basically letting them idle and sitting there. Stable coins are a great way to be able to deploy that. Now, really the big thing when you're executing and you're buying and getting into the market and you're building out this portfolio is that remember that there is a big difference between Bitcoin and altcoins, all right? I'm just going to make sure that there's dominance that happens in the market. You can see here in the blue, this is the Ethereum dominance, and in the gray is the others. Bitcoin right now, and traditionally holds anywhere above 50% of the entire market cap in Bitcoin, all right? Right now we're at 60%. The others, which is all the other altcoins, only has 30%. What is really important to remember when you're buying altcoins is that there is so many altcoins that need capital, and the supply has grown massively. There's millions of coins, but yet the capital that's being deployed in those altcoins is decreasing. So when you've got increasing supply and reducing demand, it's going to be harder for your altcoins to go up. On the other side, in Bitcoin, there is a limited supply. There's only 21 million. And when you've got this amount of demand that's going into Bitcoin, of course, that is why it's going up. Remember that Bitcoin and altcoins are two very separate things, all right? Now, if you want to understand where you're at and how you should be building out your portfolio, I've actually built this personalized, it's a completely free blueprint where you can fill out these questionnaire below, and it'll take 3 minutes, and it'll build out a personalized digital asset wealth plan for you directly in your inbox. So I'll put that in the link below. Go for that. It gives you a score and a step-by-step plan on how to do that. So go check that out if you want that yourself. Now, the most important thing when it comes to actually executing is not to put in all of your money at once. So when you've got your $50,000, we like to use DCA, all right? And I was showing that before, $50,000 as an example into the market. This is where we're going to put, let's say this is like, 1 to 8 weeks. We might put in, $5,000 every week. And what that does is it gives us a average buy price depending on the level of the chart. The other way, the more sophisticated way to do this would be to increase your buys as the market goes down, all right? So let's say, this is Bitcoin and we're going up and then we're kind of going down, all right? The amount you'd buy here at, say, this range might be 2K, this might be 2.5K, this range now might be 3K, and then here is 4K. So we are increasing our dollar cost averages as the market continues to go down. Now the market, again, is already down 45 to 48% from the top. So I would be thinking that this is an increased range right now. Again, anything above the 200-week moving average, I think is a good, or around that point is a good time to accumulate, but DCAing gives you a good entry point. I always want to keep some cash on the sidelines as well, folks. So I will never deploy all of my cash into the market because in case of things that happen when the market really deteriorates, you want to be able to take advantage of that. The common traps that people get stuck into as well, I really want to make this clear because a lot of people get stuck into some of these areas. And this is number one, FOMO, fear of missing out. What happens is they get really excited when the market goes up and they start chasing the green candles. People only buy when the market goes up. That's obviously the wrong time to be buying. All right, you want to make sure that you are not getting sucked into the emotional traps of crypto. The other one is panic selling. I had a member recently that for whatever reason had a few drinks and came back to his portfolio on a Friday night. The market was down and he panicked. All right, he got emotional, he sold, and then the market rebounded. Crypto is a very emotional market. You don't want to get sucked into the emotional traps of buying when things are going up really fast and then getting panicked and selling when we have vast dips because you are going to make poor decisions. You need to step back, realize that crypto is volatile. That is a part of the game. You can't make the money if you are buying and selling all the time. If everything was easy in crypto, there wouldn't be the gains to be able to make. You've got to be able to cut through. We see this time and time again that retail investors, everyday investors that get into crypto don't have the emotional fortitude and then panic sell. You've got to be able to last through those periods and not be emotional. Exit strategy. When it comes to crypto, you need to be able to take profits at certain times in the market. I took profits last year on a couple of investments on my altcoins because we know that altcoins have a short lifespan. Bitcoin for me, I want to hold for a long period of time, but altcoins, you need to be able to exit and take profits at certain periods of time and not get sucked into the FOMO of thinking that it's going to continue going up forever because it won't. You need to be able to take profits and have a proper exit strategy. I've talked about that in other videos. The other one as well is rebalancing. If you've got investments that are doing well and they are outperforming others, you want to be able to rebalance those and not just ride an altcoin that goes from 5% to 15% in your portfolio. I did this last year. Syrup was one of my investments, got in at 5 cents, took profits at 42 cents because it was nearly 20% of my portfolio. I really wanted to have that exit strategy, which I executed on, and rebalance the portfolio. I moved that into stable coins and I was executing on a transaction outside of crypto, but it allowed me to rebalance my portfolio because if I've got 20% of my portfolio, back to this part here, I had 20% of an asymmetric bet in one asset. That is far too risky. All right. I do not want to have that level of risk in my portfolio and I want to rebalance. So that is how I would be deploying my $50,000 in the market, folks. This is the plan. I'd be dollar cost averaging. And I do believe that we are in this period now where you can really take advantage of these entry points when it comes to crypto. And when we are in these corrections, there is a really great time to be able to take advantage. Again, if you want that personalized blueprint, you can head over to the link below. Make sure you fill it out, get that assessment locked in, and you will be on your way to getting in and getting your portfolio sorted. Thank you for watching. Please watch some of anything else that you got questions on. I've got other videos on my channel. Please make sure to subscribe and I'll see you in the next video.